For beginners, understanding these video editing terms is an important part of the learning process. It provides a foundation for developing more advanced skills. Familiarity with these terms helps beginning editors sound more like experts and demonstrates their knowledge of the craft. This can be beneficial for career advancement and gaining credibility in the industry. Understanding these terms also allows for better communication between editors, directors, and other team members involved in video production. It helps ensure everyone is on the same page and can discuss ideas and techniques effectively. Here's the list of video editing terms arranged in alphabetical order. Aliasing, meaning jagged edges and diagonal lines or curves in digital video. Usage, often addressed in post-production for a cleaner look. Alpha channel, meaning an additional channel in an image that controls transparency. Usage, used in compositing and effects work. Ambient sound, meaning background noise recorded on location. Usage, often used to create atmosphere in scenes. Aspect ratio, meaning the width-to-height ratio of a video frame. Usage, used when discussing video formats and resizing footage. B-roll, meaning supplementary footage used to add visual interest or context. Usage, often used in documentaries and news reports. Banding, meaning visible steps between color gradients due to limited bit depth. Usage, often addressed in color grading. Bit depth, meaning the number of bits used to represent the color of a single pixel. Usage, affects color accuracy and file size. Bitrate, meaning the amount of data processed per unit of time. Usage, important when discussing video quality and file size. Chroma key, meaning a technique for removing a solid color background, usually green or blue, to add different backgrounds. Usage, commonly used in weather forecasts and special effects. Chroma subsampling, meaning reducing color information in video to save bandwidth. Usage, important in video compression. Chromatic aberration, meaning color fringing on the edges of objects in an image. Usage, sometimes corrected, sometimes added for stylistic effect. Closed captions, meaning text versions of dialogue and sound effects, usually toggled on/off by the viewer. Usage, used for accessibility and in noisy environments. Codec, meaning software for compressing and decompressing digital video. Usage, used when discussing video file formats and compatibility. Color grading, meaning altering the color of a video for aesthetic purposes. Usage, common in film production and high-end video projects. Compression, meaning reducing file size by removing redundant data. Usage, used when exporting videos for online platforms. Cut, meaning a sudden transition between two shots. Usage, the most basic and common editing technique in all types of videos. Deinterlacing, meaning converting interlaced video to progressive scan. Usage, necessary when adapting TV content for digital displays. Depth of field, meaning the range of distance in a shot that appears in focus. Usage, often manipulated for artistic effect in films and photography. Diegetic sound, meaning sound that has a visible on-screen source. Usage, used to create realism in films and TV shows. Dissolve, meaning a gradual transition where one shot fades out as another fades in. Usage, often used to indicate the passage of time. Dolly zoom, meaning a camera effect that zooms while moving the camera, keeping the subject the same size. Usage, used for dramatic effect in films. Dynamic range, meaning the ratio between the brightest and darkest parts of an image. Usage, important when discussing video quality and color grading. Ease and slash out, meaning gradual acceleration or deceleration in animation. Usage, used to create more natural-looking motion. EDL, edit decision list, meaning a list of timecodes and real numbers for making cuts. Usage, used in professional editing workflows. Establishing shot, meaning a wide shot at the beginning of a scene to show the location. Usage, commonly used in films and TV shows. Export, meaning the process of creating a final video file from an editing project. Usage, the last step in most video editing workflows. Feathering, meaning softening the edges of a selection or mask. Usage, used in compositing for smoother transitions. Field order, meaning the sequence in which the odd and even lines of an interlaced video are displayed. Usage, important when working with interlaced footage. Foley, meaning the reproduction of everyday sound effects added in post-production. Usage, used in films and TV shows to enhance audio quality. Frame, meaning a single still image in a video sequence. Usage, the basic unit of video editing. Frame rate, meaning the number of individual frames displayed per second. Usage, important when discussing video smoothness and slow motion effects. Gamma, meaning the relationship between numerical values of pixels and their actual brightness. Usage, important in color correction. Gaussian blur, meaning a type of image blur based on the Gaussian function. Usage, often used for softening or creating depth effects. Grain, meaning the random texture in film or digital images. Usage, often added artificially for a film-like look. Green screen, meaning a bright green background used for chroma keying. Usage, widely used in special effects and virtual production. HDR, high dynamic range, meaning a technique that captures a greater range of luminosity. Usage, used to create more realistic and vibrant images. Histogram, meaning a graph showing the distribution of tones in an image. Usage, used for assessing and adjusting exposure. Hotspot, meaning an overly bright area in an image. Usage, addressed in lighting setup or post-production color correction. Interlacing, meaning a technique where odd and even lines of a video frame are displayed alternately. Usage, common in older TV systems. ISO, meaning a measure of a camera's sensitivity to light. Usage, affects image quality and is often adjusted in post-production. J-cut, meaning when the audio from the next scene is heard before the video changes. Usage, often used in dialogue scenes to create a smoother transition. Jib, meaning a crane-like device for camera movement. Usage, often used for sweeping shots in film and TV production. JPEG artifacts, meaning visual distortions caused by JPEG compression. Usage, often addressed in post-production for higher quality. Jump cut, meaning an abrupt transition between two shots of the same subject. Usage, often used in vlogs and YouTube videos for a dynamic effect. Ken Burns effect, meaning a panning and zooming effect used on still images. Usage, commonly seen in documentaries to add motion to photographs. Keying, meaning the process of removing a background from footage. Usage, fundamental to green screen and blue screen effects. Keyframe, meaning a mark point in a video where a change in an effect or animation occurs. Usage, used in motion graphics and special effects. Kinetic typography, meaning animated moving text. Usage, popular in lyric videos and creative title sequences. L-cut, meaning when the audio from the previous scene continues into the next scene. Usage, used to maintain audio continuity across scene changes. Lens flare, meaning a light artifact caused by light scattering in a lens. Usage, sometimes added artificially for stylistic effect. Letterboxing, meaning adding black bars to the top and bottom of a video to maintain aspect ratio. Usage, often seen when widescreen movies are shown on TV. Lower third, meaning graphics or text placed in the lower third of the screen. Usage, often used in news broadcasts and interviews to display names and titles. LUT lookup table, meaning a preset for color grading. Usage, used to quickly apply specific color styles to footage. Match cut, meaning a cut between two different scenes with similar visual elements. Usage, used in films for creative transitions. Matte, meaning a grayscale image used to define transparent areas in compositing. Usage, essential in visual effects work. Montage, meaning a series of short shots edited together to condense time or information. Usage, used in films and TV shows to show the passage of time or character development. Multicam editing, meaning editing footage from multiple cameras shooting the same scene. Usage, common in live event coverage and reality TV. Nested sequence, meaning a sequence placed within another sequence in editing software. Usage, used for organizing complex edits. Noise reduction, meaning the process of removing visual grain or audio static. Usage, applied in post-production to improve quality. Non-diegetic sound, meaning sound without a visible on-screen source, like background music or narration. Usage, used to set mood or provide information. Nonlinear editing, meaning editing video in any order, not necessarily chronologically. Usage, the standard method in modern digital editing software. Opacity, meaning the level of transparency of a video layer or effect. Usage, used in compositing and creating visual effects. Optical flow, meaning a technique for creating smooth slow motion from standard frame rate footage. Usage, used in sports replays and artistic slow motion. Overexposure, meaning when an image is too bright, losing detail in highlight areas. Usage, a common issue in outdoor shooting that needs correction in editing. Pan, meaning a horizontal camera movement from a fixed position. Usage, often used to follow action or reveal information in a scene. Pillar boxing, meaning adding vertical black bars to the sides of a video. Usage, used when showing narrower aspect ratio content on widescreen displays. Proxy editing, meaning using lower resolution copies of footage for smoother editing. Usage, common when working with K or higher resolution footage. Quantization, meaning the process of limiting the number of possible values in a signal. Usage, affects video quality and file size. Quaternions, meaning mathematical notations used in D-rotation calculations. Usage, important in D-animation and visual effects. Quick zoom, meaning a rapid zoom in or out, often for dramatic effect. Usage, popular in action scenes and comedic moments. Raw footage, meaning unprocessed video directly from the camera. Usage, used by professionals for maximum editing flexibility. Rendering, meaning the process of finalizing edits and creating the output video file. Usage, occurs when exporting a finished video project. Rolling shutter, meaning a visual distortion that occurs with fast movement or camera shake. Usage, often seen in footage from smartphones or some digital cameras. Roto brush, meaning an automated rotoscoping tool in some editing software. Usage, used for quickly separating foreground and background. Rotoscoping, meaning tracing over footage frame by frame to create a matte for compositing. Usage, used in visual effects work. Scopes, meaning video measurement tools like waveform monitors and vector scopes. Usage, used for precise color and exposure adjustment. Slow motion, meaning playing footage at a slower speed than it was recorded. Usage, used for dramatic effect or to show detail in action scenes. Stabilization, meaning reducing camera shake in post-production. Usage, often applied to handheld or action camera footage. Telecine, meaning the process of transferring motion picture film to video. Usage, important when working with film-originated content. Time-lapse, meaning a technique where footage is captured at a lower frame rate and played back faster. Usage, often used to show slow processes like plant growth or construction. Timecode, meaning a sequence of numeric codes generated at regular intervals by a timing system. Usage, used to identify and synchronize video frames during editing. Tracking, meaning following the movement of an object in a shot. Usage, used for adding visual effects or stabilizing footage. Transition, meaning any technique used to connect one shot to another. Usage, common in all types of video editing. Underscan, meaning showing the entire video frame without any cropping. Usage, Important when preparing videos for broadcast to ensure all content is visible. Unsharp mask. Meaning, a sharpening technique that increases edge contrast. Usage. Often used to enhance detail in video. Upscaling. Meaning, increasing the resolution of a video. Usage. Used when adapting lower resolution content for higher resolution displays. Vector scope. Meaning, a tool for measuring and displaying color information. Usage. Used in color correction and grading. Vectorization. Meaning, converting raster graphics to vector graphics. Usage. Used in creating scalable motion graphics. Vignette. Meaning, darkening the edges of a frame. Usage. Often used for artistic effect or to draw attention to the center of the frame. Voiceover. Meaning, narration added to a video without showing the speaker. Usage. Frequently used in documentaries and commercials. Waveform monitor. Meaning, a graph showing the brightness levels in a video. Usage. Used for exposure and contrast adjustment in post-production. Wavelet compression. Meaning, a type of video compression using wavelets. Usage. Used in some professional video formats. White balance. Meaning, adjusting the color temperature to make whites appear truly white. Usage. Important in color correction during post-production. Wipe. Meaning, a transition where one shot replaces another with a moving boundary. Usage. Common in older films and sometimes used for retro effect. XCam. Meaning, a series of video formats developed by Sony. Usage. Used in professional broadcast and film production. XYZ coordinates. Meaning, a three-dimensional coordinate system. Usage. Used in de-animation and compositing. Yellowing. Meaning, a color shift towards yellow, often in older footage. Usage. Addressed in color correction. YUV. Meaning, a color encoding system used in many video formats. Usage. Important in color processing and compression. Zebra pattern. Meaning, a striped overlay indicating overexposed areas in a camera's viewfinder. Usage. Used to adjust exposure while shooting. Zipper effect. Meaning, a visual artifact in interlaced video when there's motion. Usage. Addressed through deinterlacing.
Simply click the link below to learn more.